All right. Welcome everyone to the latest and greatest episode of the Summoning Hour. Nope, wrong podcast. I'm on autopilot. Fuck this week. I'm done. I'm so done. Welcome
Off
to
to a great
Check Your
start.
Six. This is the greatest podcast of all time, which is why I forgot its name. That's how this happens. This
Check
is why
your
we can't
six.
have Check Your Six. I was not prepared. I'm not ready for this. Somehow, some reason, I'm not ready for this. But here we are. We're going to go through this. We've got 2 weeks of Pro League matches to catch up on for NA due to life circumstances and thunderstorms and straight up couldn't get it together last week. So we got 2 weeks of Pro League to catch up on, which Syntax is going to be guiding us through. And I've got the latest and greatest from the 3 collegiate leagues as we are moving slowly into playoff form, which is really exciting times as we're getting the best of the best playing each other in these second and later phases of each of the leagues. So teams are in their primes. Hopefully they have the conditioning to keep making these matches as good as they have been. We'll just have to wait and see how the playoffs round things out. But Pro League first. I noticed, I went through and checked on Wikipedia. There's been no more player movements, at least in A. There's been some in South America and Europe a little bit, but nothing in A. And it's been relatively quiet since last week, though you did send me a juicy potential rumor leak. I don't know if anything of that was confirmed regarding who was that, LG and EG?
Yeah, EG. Yeah, the G's. So what's happening next season, right? So they're going to a dedicated full LAN Pro League, right?
Nice.
And in doing so, they are forcing everyone to move to Vegas.
Damn.
Yeah. So everyone will be centralized in Las Vegas, and that's why everyone was wondering why is Dark Zero moving, blah blah blah. Even I was like, why the hell is Dark Zero moving to Vegas? Like what? It's like it's so expensive out there, you know. But I asked them, and they were like, well, next next season they're forcing everyone to move to Vegas, and I guess LG and EG are just not cooperating, which means that they're going to get knocked out of Pro League, which leaves Disrupt and Sonics to come back up into Pro League. That's rumored. I don't know if it's confirmed just yet. It could be. I haven't seen it anywhere, as someone can correct me on that. But yeah, and I was looking at some like forums and stuff, and people on Reddit, and they're like, yeah, I actually talked to a couple of people on LG, and apparently like they've never even talked to their owners. People on LG. So like these players are just playing for this team, and like they've never actually like talked to like the higher management, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So like how do you play for an organization and like not want to talk to the manager, you know? Like
yeah.
I mean, I guess that's cool to like be autonomous and things, you know. They were kind of just given a house, I think, and they were like, okay, here you go, play it up. And then they've just never had communication with the higher ups.
Like that's insane to me to think.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have a coach and a manager and 5 players, maybe even a backup player, and you're being paid by an organization that you never really had to interview with. You never really had to negotiate. I mean, how did negotiations go for contracts? Like, was it just all over email? Are these teams still just being like, oh yeah, we'll make our own negotiations without a lawyer when signing pro league contracts? Like,
Who knows?
How do
Maybe it
you?
was done through like a headhunter, like a hiring
Yeah,
agent. Like a liaison between like the CEO and the players. This liaison was just like, hey, we want to buy you, and then they bought them. They were like, here you go, have
yeah.
fun.
I mean, it's possible.
Possibly.
I just thought, especially with how, like, when I think about it, LG, I would need to go back through and see what teams that they actually have in esports, but their Seattle Call of Duty team isn't doing anything right now. They're doing like promo stuff, but they're not competing. LG probably has a Rocket League team that's a small organization to help run that, but Psyonix has their stuff together when running their pro league. Rainbow Six has their stuff together for pro league. It's a growing game. You would think some attention would be paid to it, and to me, as someone who would consider like running a business, to have some sort of investment and resources there and not be interacting with them, not trying to build them up or make that investment worth more and be involved with them, that's kind of crazy making.
Yeah, honestly. Um, but anyways, I guess apparently EG. I've actually heard is might be dissolving. That's a rumor as well. Just take that with a grain of salt. They haven't really been doing all that well recently, considering they are last place.
Yeah. I mean,
They're 1-7 right now with a negative 28 round differential, which is
ugh,
pretty damn bad
that's really
for
bad.
pro league. So, um, yeah, I've heard that they might be dissolving. Also,
Like
am I
dissolving
going
just their
crazy?
Rainbow Six or their.
Their
uh,
team, the Rainbow Six team. They might be
okay,
pulling out of Rainbow Six.
okay, gotcha. That makes more sense. Dissolving the whole brand.
No, not dissolving the brand. They might be pulling out of Rainbow Six. Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes more
Apparently,
sense.
the new owners, they're the ones that came in and they did the whole rebrand with the new logo and stuff.
Yeah.
And apparently, it's just been absolute trash
Mm-hmm.
um, with the new management. So they might be just pulling out.
I mean,
Am I
it
going
makes sense.
crazy, or is the on the CGG website, is their logo upside down for you?
Yes, it is. April Fools, I'm guessing.
Well, it's April 2nd. You think they would change it back, but
Esports, we're not on top of it. Like
that's true.
we meme hard and then we forget about memeing.
Yeah, that's true.
We've got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, yeah, but the first week of Pro League, honestly, was something else. I'll tell you what. So starting on Monday, the 23rd. So we've got 2 weeks of Pro League to catch up on here. So bear
Yeah.
with me. Monday, the 23rd, right? DZ played TSM, and TSM won 7-4. They took they played on Villa, right? And normally DZ plays really well on Villa, but TSM just absolutely they were just dominant on Villa. They must have I don't know what they did. They must have just scrimmed the hell out of Villa, but all their costs are over 70%, which is absolutely ridiculous.
That is insane. Like everyone's rating was over 1. So everyone went positive overall. Like even Merc 1.06, he was 8 and 9, and then or 8 kills, 9 deaths, but then what was that? Three entry assists, 2 normal assists, or yeah, 3. Yeah, just he ended up pulling out a positive ratio at the end,
Mm-hmm.
and ended up having tied for the highest cost on the team. 3 of them, Geo, Pojo Man, and Merc, cost of 82%. They
Yeah.
must have just been rolling round after round after round.
Mm-hmm. And Pojo Man had an 82% cost as well.
Oh, I misread that. Oh, did I misread that?
Oh,
I thought
and
I said
Merc.
Pokemon. Yeah,
Yeah,
Pojoman,
it's
Merc, and
Geo.
Geo.
Yeah, all three of them had an
And then
82%.
Achieved and Bolo were also tied at 73%. Like,
Mm-hmm.
everything they did was effective. I don't
Um,
I, I don't know about Merc's 18% survival rate, but I mean, if he every round he still managed to pull something off.
yeah. Um, what I think is really, if you know what it really amazes me about Pro League is looking at some of their like headshot ratios for each of the matches. Um, I think that's really ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like hot and cold, like an
86%.
86% headshot ratio.
And I mean, you take him out of a pro league setting and just say go and be free, he's going to wreck every single one of your ranked matches with just or
unless unless it's a cheater, because cheaters are
that's
pretty
true.
rampant at the moment. I feel like every time I get online, whatever, it didn't matter what it is. Mostly Twitter. I usually get online, and it's always a bunch of pro people complaining about playing cheaters.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know what Ubisoft is doing, but like you have people complaining about cheating
Mm-hmm.
24/7. Like, what are you?
Oh, but it's
I
not
mean, I
just
can't speak for them, but I don't
it's
know what
not
they're doing behind the
just it's
scenes.
not just Rainbow Six though. Like all the Warzone stuff that came out with Call of Duty,
Yeah, but
the
COD just banned
50,000 accounts I think
like
it was.
50,000 people. Yeah, like IP banned them.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just account banning; they IP banned them,
But
which is
I'm just
something
thinking
Ubisoft needs to do.
with the huge volume of people who are at home online 24/7 now, it just there's a lot more cheaters online all the time now, and companies just aren't capable of dealing with that kind of volume. Like as much as you think it is automated, a lot of it can be and is, but depending on how judicious they are or about verifying their accounts for cheating before just automatically banning them, it could take human investigation to go in account by account if they're not
Mm-hmm.
super obvious about it.
Honestly, I think Siege needs to implement something like Counter Strike. I don't know if you're familiar with Counter Strike's Overwatch system.
Mm-mm. Nope.
So you can sign up for Overwatch. I don't know what the prerequisites are, but essentially what happens is, you got all these community members that are like in the Overwatch program, and it helps out the company because what happens is when someone gets reported for cheating, it takes like a clip of the match automatically, and then it sends it to one of the Overwatch members, and then those Overwatch members can review the clip and be like, okay, yeah, this guy is definitely cheating, and then like hit the button, like recommend ban to the company. Like they don't ban them, but like they're like, yeah, this guy is cheating, and then like the company will just take all the Overwatch files and be like, okay, and then just like ban as they see recommendations.
Nice. Yeah. Crowdsourcing banning. I think I want to say Microsoft actually did something like that with the Xbox 360, and they had just members of the community who were escalated in privileges, and they could do the same thing. Ultimately, I think they ended up canning that system because for legal reasons because of how much time and effort people were putting into that. It was basically
Mm-hmm.
becoming a full-time job, and Microsoft could have been held responsible for paying dues and insurance and stuff like that because they were essentially creating a job for someone to do, and so they backed out of that. I wonder if Valve is still able to get around that.
That's a good question. I don't know.
But anyways, so DZ got flummoxed for sure.
Yeah, and that took Um, so before the whole split, we were, DZ and TSM, I think, were tied for first. Maybe not. I think TSM was just
Yeah, TSM was
above.
just ahead.
Yeah. So okay. So now DZ went from second. They're actually in fourth now, which is really surprising, because the match that really costed them, not cost as in cost, but like the actual price, was their match against EU. So surprisingly enough, I say I can filter it down again. Okay, so surprisingly enough, DZ tied against EU,
Yeah.
which is honestly that really surprised me. It was on Cafe, and DZ's as far as I know, DZ's been pretty strong on Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
And especially against a newer team like EU, you'd think that they'd be pretty dominant over them, or at least have a bigger advantage. But
Excuse me.
so what happened was DZ, they won the first 4 rounds of defense, and then EU won the last 2 attack rounds, and then EU won defense, DZ won 2 attacks, then EU won the last 2 defenses. Cafe is a very, very defense oriented map, and going 4-2 on the split is not bad at all. All they had to do was win. Was it 3 attacks?
Yeah.
But because it's a defender heavy map, it allowed EU to catch back up, and they
Yeah.
were
It's
eventually
it's
tied.
either win 3 attack rounds or win 5 defensive.
Yeah, if they would have went to the split 5-1, I think they
Yeah.
would have won.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that they went 4-2 on the split, normally 4-2 is a very good split, right? But
Yeah.
on a heavy defensive oriented map, it doesn't give you much buffer room on attack.
And it would be interesting to see how it plays out if you had those 3 overtime rounds to decide a winner. Because tying, to me, this just looks like this is a decidedly heavy, decidedly defender map. And so going 4-2, 4-2 just means that they were evenly matched.
Mm-hmm.
Which is surprising for E United to be matched to hold their own against DZ. So
Yeah.
kudos to them for pulling that off, and I hope DZ. I don't know whether or not this is DZ having gotten comfortable or DZ just being like, it's E United on Cafe. We know what we need to do, and just E United having a better night.
Honestly, I think it was a little bit of everything. I think it was EU coming in very prepared because they're playing against DZ, and I think that was scary to them, and so I think they just practiced their ass off. Not just Cafe; they probably practiced every map. They probably just scrimmed, night after night, day after day, getting ready for this match specifically. And they went in. EU was ready to play. And DZ was obviously ready to play, but I think DZ made a couple mistakes that weren't big mistakes, but they were big enough to have a heavy impact on their defensive rounds, and that allowed EU to kind of exploit them, and that's why they were able to take 2 attack rounds.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting to see how that played out.
it was a really good match though.
And for that to be what DZ's second match since coming back from break, and coming out with a loss and then a tie, but then having even some surprise matches like earlier this week, having like Reciprocity take down TSM. Like that screws up the
Yes.
scoreboards insanely.
Yes, that was a huge upset. And honestly, I wouldn't have expected it.
No way.
Um,
No way. I mean, reciprocity is not reciprocity anymore. It's just the guys from reciprocity. Like, these are essentially at this point, like, they are pro league team players and have that experience and have that camaraderie and uh, practice and methodology about themselves, saying that they're pro league, but they're no longer represented or representing like a team, and it's so weird to think that where they were at the end of the split, just being like, what was it? They were third from last, something like that.
who? Reciprocity?
Reciprocity,
Yeah.
yeah. And so to have them come back against TSM like this, it makes me excited to see them play all the more. But again, you have to look at how they're consistently playing, and for them to tie EG, but then beat TSM, the first place team, they have to work on their consistency.
Yeah. But if you look at it this way, I think the reason that Reciprocity was able to take Border, so they played on Border, right? I think the reason they were able to take TSM on this map is because, you've got at least one veteran, two veteran, I would say two veteran players on TSM, right? So you got Geo and you got Pojo Man, who've been playing for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But on Reciprocity, you've got, I don't remember how long Bio has been playing. I don't think he's been playing as long, but you got four veteran players who've been playing since, season one, pretty much. And they've been playing Border since that map came out. And they've played it many, 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 many times. And I think that they know that map a lot better than TSM did,
Gotcha.
because they might have not had been playing on the same team, but they've played this map consistently for years. And I think that they were able to pull all their knowledge, because they're all, I mean, if you think about it, they were all from different teams, right?
Yeah.
Laxing and Fox A have been Reciprocity since God knows how long, and then Vertical and Slashug were from Rogue. They were able to kind of pool their knowledge together about different strats for this map, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason they were able to just destroy TSM on it.
What I love is seeing how the map ban went. TSM banned Coastline, Reciprocity banned Consulate, no Clubhouse from TSM, no Villa from Reciprocity, no Cafe from TSM, and then so it's down to Border and Theme Park. Now, Theme Park just having gotten reworked.
Nobody wants to play Theme Park. I don't
No
think
one.
anybody is. I don't think anybody is ready to play Theme Park yet. I think you're going to see Theme Park banned pretty consistently for at least another couple weeks.
What what I love is that it was saved for last, so that Reciprocity could have just really, really thrown a curveball, and like that might have been making TSM a little bit nervous
Mm-hmm.
instead of just
Honestly,
giving.
I think the match would have gone very, very differently if TSM decided to just play Theme Park. Be like, you know what, fuck it, we're gonna play Theme Park. And honestly, I don't know why they didn't, because if I'm a newer developed team
Mhm.
playing against a bunch of veterans, I'm not going to play a map that they have played hundreds of thousands of times.
Yeah,
You know,
I agree.
let's take them to the same fucking playing field.
Yeah,
Where we all have the exact same amount of experience to Theme Park, right?
yeah.
They should
I
have.
mean,
That's what they should have done. They may not have had this, a terrible amount of strats, but at least they've all got the exact same amount of play time on the map.
yeah.
Um,
And I mean, at that point, they were sitting at 28 points, and Reciprocity was at 17 points. Space Station Gaming would have been at what, 20? Because if they hadn't played their match yet for the week, or one of their matches for the week, so an 8-point lead minimum over second place, and you have three maps to choose. You had, what was it? You had Cafe, Theme Park, and Border. Border is one of Reciprocity's favored maps. You know that they have a lot of
mhm.
history on it. You know that they know it very well. Cafe, just, I mean, cafe is cafe. I don't know how
Yeah,
better else to describe it. But then
I'm in agreement with that one.
you have theme park, a totally unknown thing, and you chose to ban cafe either because you felt like you had a better chance on border or because you just don't like cafe, and theme park is this big question mark. I have to think that instead of going with either of the maps that you know, especially when you're in such a dominant lead, you ban border, you leave it to cafe and theme park.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me. Like, I think cafe is just one of the, like, I don't know how I feel about border. I like it as a map overall, but my performance is all over the place, so I can't really say how I really feel about it competitively. But cafe just seems like I don't want to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I'm surprised. I'm honestly really surprised that theme park wasn't like banned, farther up, like
Yeah,
one of the first ones to be banned. Which honestly leads me to think that they were like honest. It seems like they were playing a game of chicken,
yeah.
like who's 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 gonna pick the map, uh, but who knows? I don't know what their no one knows what their thought process is whenever they ban maps, but I'm honestly surprised they left it all the way down to theme park and border. Huge
Well,
surprise to me.
scrolling through a number of these other matches that have happened over the last 2 weeks, theme park actually makes it to the mid to late bans more often. Yeah, so like LG versus Space Station Gaming, theme park was the fifth overall map ban out of 6, and what was it? Was it Tempo and
Has
no,
anyone? I don't think anyone's played.
no?
Excuse me. I don't think anyone's played theme park yet.
There was a match, according to. I just clicked through a whole bunch of games. What game was that? We'll find it. We'll go through the other games. What other games caught your eye in this last week?
Besides TSM and Rec, um, EU and Tempo, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what really confuses me is the fact that EU is able to tie DZ, right? And then they go and play Tempo and they lose 3-7.
Right.
On Villa.
Yeah.
I don't I could not tell you what happened other than Tempo just absolutely annihilated them. And honestly, looking at their all their costs, that's exactly what happened. 80%, 100%, 80%,
Oh.
80%, 60%. Yeah. So, and everyone was above a 1.0 rating except for Butters.
Mm. And by the way, reciprocity versus EG was a 6-6 tie on theme park.
Who?
Reciprocity and
Reciprocity and
EG.
EG. Oh yeah.
Yeah. From the 25th.
Oh, it is on theme park.
I'm gonna go back and watch that VOD. I want to see theme park being played.
And see, this is what I'm telling you about, right? So it's a tie because these two teams, regardless of their standings,
Just don't know the map.
they have the exact same knowledge of the map because they've all had the same amount of playtime on it. And as of right now, it's very defender heavy if you know how to play it right. Theme park, anyone who's played it, I'm assuming if you've even played the game, you've played the new theme park, is that it is extremely annoying to attack.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's like extremely difficult, but it's extremely annoying because theme park is one of those maps where it's just very fluid and you can get anywhere almost instantly. Um, it's not a terribly small map, but it's because it's so fluid, you can go anywhere pretty fast. And especially holding I think the worst spot to attack at the moment is throne room if you're defending it. It's kind of like an instant go-to first when defending theme park is the throne room. And what's annoying about it is there's only two entrances, right?
Yeah.
One is, and then they're both small doorways. One doorway being a split with two doorways leading. You've got, say this is the hallway, right? And this is the doorway. You go up, and there's two doorways in a hallway looking at that single doorway where you come in and you just funnel. And it's extremely hard to attack unless you can get either the barrels wall open or the maintenance wall open. And those are hard to get open because you've got the whole 20-second meta going, right? You got the Wamis and the Wamai, I'm sorry, Wamai, the Wamais and the Jagrs set up everywhere, so it's hard to nade over. Especially if you're defending first, you can sit there and you can ban Thermite or Maverick. Either one would suffice, and you can just sit there and deny the wall entries. And then half the site is unbuckable. So like only the other half of the site has vertical play to it, so you can like buck or sledge it. It's just really annoying to attack, but. Anyways, moving on.
Real quick. So I was really curious about this. Out of the 4 reciprocity matches that have happened in the last 2 weeks, they only banned theme park once, and that was in the match against TSM, and it was the very last ban. So they decided to go to border instead of playing that map. But otherwise, the other 3 matches that they played, they either played theme park, or the other 2 teams banned it early, kind of mid and early, like first or second ban on the other side. So
okay,
I think reciprocity is playing the game of we don't care what map we play on. So we're going to take the opposite approach to a lot of people and just be like, theme park's in play for us. I think that's what they're doing. Just willing to push that and leave that be a kind of like a wild card. And it's another flavor of how they're approaching the league right now. And I mean, in that flavor, they banned theme park to go to border, and they took out the first place team, like the decidedly first place team in a pro league standings, and they won. Crazy balls to be playing that kind of game, but kudos to them for playing it.
Oh man. But other than that, Space Station beat EU. No real surprise there. But it did come down to 7-5 on Coastline, which is pretty good for EU, especially against Space Station.
I'm just gonna come out and say it. It's whenever TS or EG can get 3-5 rounds, it's like a good game for them. So I mean, EG pulled through. I mean, they tied reciprocity. They had their 3 rounds against LG. They were able to manage, like TS managed to tie EG. So like your bottom of the barrel teams equally bad together. Like, okay, that seems about right.
Yeah. But I think the rest of the match just kind of went as expected. DZ beat EG 7-5. Reciprocity beat LG 7-2. And then TSM straight up absolutely murdered Tempo Storm 7-0 on
An
Cafe.
appropriate match for April 1st. We're going to have a match, April Fools.
Yeah, yikes. TSM. Okay. TSM, get this. TSM won literally every single attack round on Cafe. Which is, for those who don't know, we were talking about another defender heavy map is this Cafe, right? Winning every single attack round on Cafe is very impressive. and then they go on to win the first defense.
And if you look at the round by round site decisions from Tempo Storm, back to back rounds, bar cocktail, lost both of them. Back to back rounds, service cooking, lost both of them. Back to back rounds, reading dining, lost both of them. So like
Yeah.
they didn't try and change things up round after round. They thought that they
No,
were
they
onto
did.
something.
They did. That's like the typical thing to do is, you pick a site.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't work, you can either go to the next site or you try again. And they try it again, but probably with a different strat, right?
Yeah.
So they have multiple strats for each site.
Sure.
So they went, okay, we're gonna go bar. They lost. Okay, we're gonna try something different on bar. They went and then lost again. Like, okay, obviously this isn't working. Let's go to the next site. Went to service cooking, did the same thing, and then lost both. And they're like, okay, let's move on again. Went to reading and dining. They lost both of them. They're like, okay, well, that sucks.
I have a problem with that on a map that is decider heavy or defensive heavy, and you just lost 3 rounds back to back. It's like, okay, take on that third round, take your tactical timeout and just like not try and win the round, and figure out what you're going to do. When that third round looks like it's lost, figure out what you're going to do, because this back-to-back rounds, it's going to be red. It's going to be destroyed, as you've already seen. Try something else. Like, I know the strategies can vary just very differently round to round from site to site. You have to have that depth, but I mean, when you come out 5 rounds deep, and then you have to go attack, that no.
Yeah.
Any other matchups you think worth talking about? I mean, I went through the scores. I saw some of the highlights, and yeah, it was basically what I expected, except for the reciprocity versus TSM and some of the ties that happened.
Yeah, we had a couple upsets, we had a couple surprises, we had a couple butt clinchers, but the DZ versus EG match really kind of made me clench my butt.
Yep.
For a bit, especially on consulate. But
I always like watching SSG on Coastline. It was good. Against DZ, that was also good. Pretty back and forth, but just Space Station came around on the attacking side and just had more rounds back to back. DZ couldn't seem to get anything going on defense.
Yeah, pretty much. But anyways, that's pretty much it for Pro League so far. Let's we could probably go ahead. Before we move on, we have some game updates coming to Rainbow Six. I don't know if you've seen them that are in the test server right now, but
I've seen people talking about it. I haven't actually read all the notes yet.
Let's see here. So Buck. Okay, so first off, Buck is losing his frag grenades, and he's getting more skeleton key ammo in his skeleton key. So he's gonna have 5+1 in his magazine now. So he's going up to 25 maximum bullets instead of 20. Instead of frags, he's actually getting a claymore now, right? Jagr, he is no longer a 3-speed. He's now a 2-speed, 2 armor, which a lot of people are mad at.
Yep.
They're like, oh, it's a nerf, but it's not the nerf we wanted, blah, blah, blah. While they're correct, it's not really the nerf that... It's not it's not something that should have been done. They should have taken away one of his ADSs, in my opinion, and that's what a lot of the community is saying, because that's how it needs to be. Yeah,
Hmm.
there's too much utility with the whole 20-second meta. I don't know if you've heard that term
No, I haven't heard the 20
around
second
lately.
meta.
I mentioned it when we were talking about theme parks, the whole 20-second meta, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the 20-second meta means all the attackers can't push site until 20 seconds left because of how much utility there is available for the defenders.
Got it.
That's what they call the 20-second meta. Because there's so much utility that the attackers have to clear out first.
Yep. I mean, we talked about that like a month or so ago when I was talking like, what's my dream comp right now, and it's like Jagr and Goyo and just all of these people just to buy time, because you're taking away so much space, you're taking away so much information that,
Mm-hmm.
or like, and then you're leaving them with the only strategy of go 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 go, and that's a huge pitfall to be put into every single attacking round.
Yeah. And Jaeger being a 2-speed 2 armor, and people are saying it's a nerf,
Mm-hmm.
but to be totally honest, I think it's a buff. And I would highly welcome anyone to try and debate me on that, because while he's losing a little bit of speed, imagine him still his 416 is ridiculously good. I would say I would
Mm-hmm.
argue that it is one of the best guns on defense. So imagine having the best gun on defense with more armor now. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're sacrificing some speed, but now you have more survivability. Jaeger's already a pain in the ass to kill as it is, but now he's got even more health now, or at least more damage resistance. This one I'm actually really sad about. I can understand why, but I'm still sad about it. Mozzie is losing his super shorty shotgun. Mozzie was my absolute favorite roamer because of his versatility, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, I now I trust the devs as much as I can. I think they're going about nerfing these things the wrong way. Like, they're nerfing the characters themselves, and not nerfing the utility they bring. Right? He
Mm-hmm.
still has 3 Mozzie pests, or three like the pests, right?
Yep.
And that is a huge disadvantage for the attackers. Um, I think they should have just taken away a pest, or changed, like, made like a decay system for the pests. Like, so after you set the pest, like, a certain amount of time before it disables, or like it
It's
it
kind of
ruins or
like
whatever.
a reverse legion mine.
Yeah, yeah. So, like, you shoot the pest, and if it doesn't catch anyone in 45 seconds,
It deactivates,
it
destroys.
deactivates, it destroys itself. Yeah. But he's losing a super shorty, and it sucks so much, because I loved being able to roam. He was a really strong roamer because of his shotgun. Like, especially like on consulate or something. I was able to
Mm-hmm.
roam. We're defending basement. I was able to roam second floor, bust all the hatches, and sit there and watch the hatches because I have a shotgun to do that. But now you can't, and that, honestly, it removes a lot of opportunities for strategies with Mozzie, because of that, or strategies
Yeah.
in general.
I mean, yeah,
Because
if you're taking away his ability to roam, but he still has the pests, like, it seems like they're trying to rein him back in from roaming.
yeah, and I don't understand that, because
Yeah.
it was always nice when you had a Mozzie and someone didn't like bring impacts or something, or make a rotate. Mozzie is able to make that rotate.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to get to places, to roam, that you normally couldn't have, unless you're using a roamer with impacts, right?
Right.
Um, and stuff like that. It's just, you are by taking away this one thing, you are seriously hindering him as a player, while he still remains extremely strong in utility. And I think that it should have been vice versa. I think that they should have just taken away one of the pests or something, and left him how he is. Um,
Gotcha.
this one really kind of confused me. um, so Ying, right? So they had they did a lot of stuff to Ying. Ying, is getting a damage buff. Her LMG is going up to 46 damage, up from 42, I think, which is really strong.
Yeah.
Her LMG was pretty good as it was, but they buffed the damage of it, and then they're taking away her claymore and giving her smokes, and then they're giving her one more Candela charge, so she'll have a total of 4 Candela charges.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. So they increased her damage, they gave her more Candelas, and they gave her smokes. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. Talk about losing visibility. Imagine being able to smoke sight and then absolutely spam Candelas on the site. So now you're blind, both by flash and by smoke.
Yeah, and I mean,
and then
I kind of have to think about it almost like a pitcher in baseball, like someone who's got 3 really good pitches. Now you can go Candela, smoke rapidly and set the pace of the match that way. Or you go Candela, smoke, Candela, and each time you do that, the other team is preparing to use their utility. They're preparing for something. And maybe you cause someone to overreact, and then it puts them out of place. And if you can't keep track of the Candelas that have gone off because your team wasn't around, or because someone died and just forgot to communicate that bit, suddenly now you have so much more utility to keep track of. 4 Candelas. How many smokes? 2?
Yeah.
And yeah. And then you have a wild firing LMG coming in there
with 46 damage.
Yeah, I mean, that's almost a 10% buff. That's a heavy swing.
It is. It really is. And so this next change is to the TCSG. And for those of you who don't know what TCSG is, it's Cade and Goyo's shotgun, the DMR shotgun, right? So they're increasing the amount of ammo it has, but they're severely decreasing the damage on it. Right now, so the TCSG has a damage of 84, and it takes like 2 shots to down someone. It is really strong, but not as strong as what they did to it. So they reduced the damage from 84 to 55.
Wow.
Yeah. So I overlooked Rogue 9 talking about how they did a test on the TCSG, and so remind you, this is in the test server. No, some of this stuff could change. It's in the test server for a reason. They're testing all these changes. Some of these changes might be reverted, who knows? But the TCSG is right now, it's a 2-shot down, right? In the test server, it takes like almost 10 shots to down someone.
Yikes.
Or it's like 6 to 8 shots to down them, and then like another 2 to secure the kill, right? So it's like a total of 10 shots minus 4, or versus the current 4 shots. And honestly, like with the 55 damage, and then with the damage drop off, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. That's nuts.
No, I agree with decreasing the damage on the TCSG, but the amount they decreased it by, I think, is a little bit too much. I think they instead of at 55, I think they should had put it at like maybe like 65 or 70, right? Nerf it just tastefully, don't just crank the volume down all the way.
Yeah, I mean, if there's, I mean, that's the Nerf hammer just like wailing on you in the face over and over. Like that is just, we hate this gun so much. What are we going to do about it? Just nerf it into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
10 shots to take someone down. That's
But
no
anyways,
bueno.
that's it for the changes that are currently in test server. Like I said, some of the stuff might not even happen because in the test server, it's there for a reason, all this stuff. So I'm excited to see what changes stay, what changes are tweaked, what changes are actually coming. So, but I think we took a little bit too much time on with Pro League and stuff. So
That's all good. We had 2 weeks worth of catching up to do. We've got patch notes. We've got outside of the game team management stuff going on. It's a busy week altogether, or 2 weeks of Pro League. So, and it's fine. We can cover this pretty quickly. We'll cover collegiate pretty quickly. Let's see. We'll start with College Rainbow Six League, CRSL. They are in week 6 of their 8-week playoffs, or 8-week group stage. So there's 3 more weeks of this. Week 6 is going on right now. But as far as week 5 matchups went, we have University of Colorado Springs attacking first on the border against University of Texas San Antonio B squad. Colorado Springs took it 7-2. University of Tennessee Knoxville, they attacked first on Bank, and they ended up losing 1-7 against Akron. Akron, still the powerhouse that we know them to be. Texas A&M Maroon attacked first on Bank, and they ended up losing 5-7 against UTSA A squad. Norwich lost 7-1 to Miami on Bank. Northern Arizona University attacked first on Cafe, and they lost 7-3 to Longhorn Gaming. Humber had a makeup game from a previous week, and their matchup from this week both took place on Consulate. The first match, Humber lost 7-1 to Wilfrid Laurier University, and then they lost 7-2 to Sheridan on their second matchup. So Humber continuing their trend from last week, and I think solidly putting in that they're just not to the same caliber as the rest of the teams in CRSL. I would need to go back and see when they qualified for CRSL and how they did it, but the other teams are just a cut above. And when I was questioning last week whether or not they might have had that turning point because they had such a close matchup last week, it just isn't so. It just is not happening for them. So I don't know what's left for them to really accomplish this season other than with their heads held high that they made it this far and that there's room for improvement. We'll have to see how it handles going into the next season. Arizona State University Gold attacked first on Clubhouse against UAH Charger Blue, University of Alabama Huntsville, and Alabama took it 7-2 over ASU, which was a little surprising to me. I know Charger Blue have been on the run lately, but ASU I thought had more in the gas tank, but not so much with the decisive win from Alabama. Ontario Tech went the distance against Norwich on Bank, winning 8-7. Ontario looked like they had great communication when time was expiring in the last round, but instead of rushing back in, they were defending, and the diffuser was planted. OTU had 3 members still alive, and they were all off-site. They were all separated, but instead of rushing in, they waited for their team of 3 to be in place and executed a great 3-pronged approach to CEO. And with that huge vision coverage, Hurlsher was able to find a quick double kill on the last of the attackers. So time was running out. The diffuser was planted. It was a 2-on-3 retake scenario, and communications were cool, were calm, they were coordinated, and it just ended in a flash. It was a brilliant way to end round 15. University of Illinois, Chicago, Illinois University, the school with a really long acronym that we keep talking about. They won against Texas Tech 7-4 on Cafe. University of Utah lost to Northern Arizona University on Villa 6-3 or 7-3. Sorry. Raging Cajuns versus Arizona State Gold, so they had a makeup match as well this week, again on Clubhouse. Raging Cajuns took it 8-7. It came down to a 1v1 on round 15 with just enough time to defuse that the defense had to go for the defuse, and the last attacker just came through and popped him as it happened. The defender had to make a choice, and the attacker, he knew where the attacker was. They were off site. They were on the catwalk in the garage of Clubhouse. The defender had pushed them out, pushed them back, and he had a chance to defuse, but he was still a solid 2-3 seconds from finishing it. But that was a hell of a way to end that match. So, like I said, CRSL has 3 more weeks of competition in group stages. Then they'll cut the teams in half, I believe. So it'll be two teams from each of the 2 groups of 8. So, sorry, 4 teams from each of the 4 groups that they have will be mashed up in double elimination, best of 3 playoffs going starting in a few weeks near the end of April. So that is something to definitely look forward to. CEA Invite League finally got back on schedule with having their Week 8 Invite League matches kick off. And now remember, CEA has that weird scoring system where they play 2 maps, and if there's 2 wins, a win and a tie, 2 ties, a tie and a loss, or 2 losses, or a tie and a win, there's different point values for each one, basically. So they played 2 rounds. This was Virginia Tech versus University of Maryland College Park. Maryland was attacking first on Consulate. They won 7-5, and then ended up Virginia Tech was attacking first on Cafe, but they ended up tying 6-6. So only minimal point movements for Virginia Tech and University of Maryland. I think Maryland will walk away with 1 point. Virginia Tech will walk away with 1 as well. Or okay. No, Maryland will walk away with 2 because it was a win and a tie. Virginia Tech will walk away with 1 point. Rutgers versus New York Tech was just a rough one to go through. New York Tech attacked first on Coastline, and much like TSM versus EG, 7-1, just stomped into the ground, and they were attacked first on Coastline, so they went 6-0 basically. Nothing to really do or say about that one. The second map was Border. Rutgers was attacking first on that, and still New York Tech stomped all over them 7-3. So that's it really for the matches with where we're at with CR6. CR6 is in week 2 of 4 weeks of phase 2, and most of the teams haven't played their second week match yet, or it hasn't been recorded to Battlefy yet. We'll probably get that this weekend. So not much else to say. We caught up on CR6 on Monday, so that's pretty much the same place where we're at right now. So as we're looking at it, CEA is week 8 is the last week for Invite League, so we should be getting into playoffs starting next week.
Oh, good.
CRSL, like I said, has 3 more weeks of group play, then they're in playoffs, and then CR6 has, week 3, week 4, and then we're going into phase 3 playoffs. So we've got the playoffs. The season's coming into an end. It's coming into its final form. We're going to see who can have the stamina to make it all the way through. last year or last season's the fall season's champion, Triple Crown, Akron is definitely still in the running across all 3 leagues. So if we see a back-to-back 3 league champion, I really hope Akron takes that squad to Challenger League and sees how well they do. If they end up starting to graduate and rolling off, I hope that they stay together as a Challenger League squad. And that's the coverage at this point. I do have some cool stats though from CR6. CR6 has definitely upped their game with their stats. I'm looking more into the nitty gritty details, but their leaderboards are kind of fun. So one thing I noticed
has stepped up their game with stats. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it seems like it's a little bit. It's still different than how it was last year, and I really liked how last year represented the team play and the team matchups and matches and how they tracked all that. It was easier for me to follow. Maybe it's just a personal thing, but now we're starting to get into like really tracking individual player performance, team performances, ratings, separating Premier from Open, and then all overall where it's combining all the different phase performances. So there's some really cool data in here, and I wanted to highlight a little bit of this. The first is Nugs. Nugs is from Edinburgh University. Now, I hadn't been tracking them at all. Like, in all honesty, like, I hadn't even really heard of them until I was digging into these stats this last time, and I think they're in Premier League, so they're in like the top 70 some teams. I think and I want to say they're around 30, but Nugs is 3rd overall out of the entire CR6 Open and Premier League. 3rd overall for his kills per round, 1.45. His individual player rating, how they've calculated it, is at a 1.88. He is slaying everything. Everything that moves, he is killing it. And when I
What's
say
his
that,
name again?
What?
What's his name again?
Nugs, Nuggs, period.
That's on Akron?
No, he's in Edinburgh.
Edinburgh, that's right. Okay.
And so when I say he's slaying everything, I literally mean it, because he's the #1 slayer in the entire league. He's got 151 frags.
Jeez. How many deaths?
Let's see. Let's go to
his name is just Nugs, like Nuggs dot.
Yep. So overall, all phases of CR6 Spring, Nugs is sitting at 151 kills, 30 assists, 51 deaths out of 104 rounds played. His KD is almost 3.
And I believe that, looking at his R6 tab.
His KAD is 3.55. He's averaging 1.45 kills per round, and every 3 rounds getting an assist, basically. His survival rate is 51%.
So he has been Diamond since Chimera.
Damn.
He's been Diamond rank since Operation Chimera, and his seasonal ranked right now, KD is 1.97.
And so kudos to Nugs. Like, and he's also
He's a gunner.
He's a gunner, and so his 1.88 rating is the best in the league as well. Best in the league rating, overall play, top fragger, and 3rd most kills per round.
That's in CR6.
Yeah, and one of his like the thing is, he's not even on the assists ladder. Like, I think I said he had 30 assists. The top 10 in at 39. One of his
he gets all his own kills.
What was that?
Yeah, he gets all his own kills.
He gets all the kills, and I think he's probably kill stealing from his teammate, because Ghost Toilet has 46 assists and he is 3rd overall. So Nugs is a kill stealing bastard, is what's happening.
You say ghost toilet? I forgot.
Go, Ghost dash toilet. I love that name. It's perfect. Nugs and Ghost Toilet.
He's got
They go together.
46 assists.
46 assists.
Yeah,
First
he's getting
place.
his kill stolen.
Yeah. But here's the crazy thing. If we look at the assists leaderboard, first, second, and sixth are all from Wisconsin Esports Red. Now Wisconsin has had six or seven players, and so three of them are consistently playing. Two or three of them have rotated out. But Wisconsin Red, 49 assists, 47 assists, and then 41 assists. And then the one guy who's not on there, or one of the guys who's not on there, is on the all-time frag leaderboard just underneath Nugs with 144 frags. So maybe Ty Fry from Wisconsin is taking all of the frags from three of his teammates, and so they all keep getting just the leftovers. I mean, I think that would be hilarious. I want to hear the teams say, "Oh yeah, Nugs or Ty Fry is just a kill stealing asshole." Like, just okay, there's their persona. Or maybe what's happening, Wisconsin's just roaming 4-squad all the time, and just Ty Fry's getting the last bullet. What other cool stats do we have in here? Those are the ones that I really wanted to point out because it's really impressive just to see consistently teams show up from one to another leaderboard. So they are, I think Edinburgh is definitely a team to watch. Now, they were 3-1 in phase 1, so they were still a really solid team. I think they played some weaker teams overall. They got 2-0'd by CU Boulder Black. So I mean, CU Boulder has been competitive for years now, consistently competitive, and Edinburgh is on that cusp. They've got my attention at the very least. They keep putting stats up like this, they'll be up there in no time. With Nug, I mean, highest rating on Nugs, you know he's straight up a solid player, and he might just need a little bit of assistance. Like when we look at some of his other teammates, they're under one. They're two of their main players are about 0.75 and below, so you know that there's some slack that could be picked up. But they've got a really good captain. I'm assuming Nugs is the captain, and if he can teach them some deeper strategy or get some of their gunplay improved, Edinburgh is going to be popping up, I think, a lot more next season.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially with a player like him. Seems like he's going to be pretty dominant in the league.
Yeah. I want to see where they are in CEA, if they're a multi-league team or not. I imagine that they have to be with how big CEA's open league is. So I'm hoping that they can get some more practice and find some good scrims and really improve over time. That's collegiate. We're getting down to the playoffs. I'm looking at how we can double down on this. I want to get interviews rolling again, so I might record some off stream and then just edit that into the final podcast as it goes. I'll share it with Syntax so that he can have some opportunities to listen in and have some commentary on that when we come back to the podcast. But we will try and add some more flavor to the collegiate coverage, especially as we start limiting the teams that are still playing week after week. That's all I've got. That's all we've got for Check Your Six. Any last messages, Syntax?
Nope, don't believe so.
Awesome. Well, you can always catch the podcast at anchor.fm/checkyour6. That's with the number 6. And you can leave messages if you add /message to the end of that hyperlink. And we will hopefully hear from you soon. You can always reach out to me on social media at WarwalkerCall, pretty much everywhere. And we will have to get some more CR6 or not CR6, but just some R6 playing, because I did a stream the other night. You couldn't hear me, but damn, was it smooth. So definitely going to have to play some more Rainbow Six.
It was smooth. Can confirm. Was watching.
It was good. It was good. Anyways, thanks for joining us, everyone. Hope you enjoyed listening. Hopefully you have something to say about what you would want to hear from the podcast going forward. Your feedback, it feeds the soul. Bring it on. We've got it. Good, bad, ugly, whatever. I want it. Later, everyone.